from entertainment, we shift our focus with a discussion on your health. IBS, it's an important topic that is rarely discussed, but IBS and other belly issues, they're a very common health issue that affects a growing number of people in this country for a variety of reasons. Irritable bowel syndrome affects 1 in 5 people in the U.S. It can be very painful, debilitating, often resulting in abdominal cramping, excess gas, constipation, and then of course you also can feel bloated at times. Dr. Marie Starling is a specialist of internal disorders and functional medicine in the Denver Tech Center, and she has been practicing for 15 years, listen to this, trained in chiropractic, nutrition, acupuncture, allergy elimination, and of course, functional medicine, and what else?
I'm so impressed with myself.
No, you're fascinating, and I was speaking with you before the show, and what you learn and what you study and how you help people is really amazing. And it actually started with yourself with some struggles. Share that with us.
I did, actually. So I'm a chiropractor, and I had a lot of issues myself with fatigue and seasonal allergies, but also a lot of GI issues, which means gastrointestinal issues, my belly. I'd eat and I'd get kind of bloated, or my stomach would get upset, or go back and forth between constipation and loose stool. And so it's been a bit of a process in discovering this personally. And there's a lot of research, there's tons of research. And really putting it all together has been what's going on in alternative medicine as well as traditional medicine now, because we're having such an epidemic of gastrointestinal issues. And irritable bowel syndrome particularly is what we use when we rule other things out. And so it's sort of a catch-all phrase. And it's very prevalent in my family. We have it throughout my mother, my daughter. She'd wake up with a stomach ache every morning. And we found out we have the gluten gene. So we actually have the gene that codes for celiac. And more importantly, it was turned on. And we didn't know because we had no idea, so we tested for it.
Well, a lot of people may not realize that, and yeah, I was discussing with you, I have a best friend constantly in pain in her head and her stomach, and that's all associated. So what are some common symptoms with IBS that people may experience, or anything in the abdomen area?
Actually, yes, the abdomen would be the obvious stuff. What's more powerful that I see very, very commonly are non-typical or atypical issues, and particularly with the gluten gene, but you can also have hidden infections, you can have hidden food allergies, there can be a number of things going on, and the atypical presentation is actually brain fog. It's when you get the inflammatory chemicals actually made in the belly, cross the brain, and inflame the brain. And if you do this for a long enough period of time, you actually start to lose some brain function. So when you start to have memory issues and you can't think straight and you have the little brain fog, that's a classic belly symptom, actually. So not only the GI issues, but also the brain issues.
And then what is causing so much of this in our country?
Well, it's a mixture of issues. It's 40% of the Northern Europeans actually have the gene for gluten. So it doesn't have to be turned on. We also have a problem with we store our grains and then we've genetically modified them. So that's one piece of it, that's gluten. We also have a tendency to eat in a way that affects our blood sugar, and that causes our immune system to be suppressed. And we have a lot of stress and a lot of tension. This is actually a picture of a gastrointestinal system. So it's the liver, the gallbladder, the small and the large intestine. So it's not only the elimination organ, the digestive organ, but also the liver filters, and the gallbladder breaks down the fats. So the whole system has to work really well, or else you end up with symptoms and you end up with dysfunction.
Yeah, and in so many different places where maybe a lot of people, we were saying too, might think, oh, it's the food I eat, or my stomach hurts, my head hurts. That's kind of all associated together with that.
It is. The hard part truly is figuring out where the fight is. Like, what's your fight? And it can be different, and we sometimes kind of get, focused on one area, and rather than just suppress symptoms with anti-inflammatories or things like that, we get to the root of the issue.
Good.
And figure out, your fight is you've got, a fungal infection, or you've got a gluten gene, or you've got, a food allergy causing this, or you've got all of them. So we actually go through and figure out the different issues.
What are the crucial points to having a very healthy digestive system?
That's an excellent question. The most important thing to do to have a good digestive system is to eat real food. I mean, it seems really simple.
And that makes you feel a lot better.
It's true, but it's also a really good idea to minimize inflammatory foods. And inflammatory foods are going to be things like, boy, I don't want to pick on gluten, but gluten.
You are picking on gluten.
I know, I don't want to pick
going.
on it, but I know I'm going to get a call from the gluten association, the wheat association.
You're just trying to help people.
I know. Gluten, dairy, actually even chicken's a little inflammatory, the nightshades. But that's not the only piece. You have to have good bacteria. So if you ever take antibiotics, you have to have good bacteria, recolonized, which are normally there. You have 2 to 3 pounds of good bacteria. You have to keep your blood sugar even, which means that you can't have hypoglycemic, so you can't have high or low blood sugar spiking, because that's so, it just affects so many things. You have to have a normal thyroid function. So if your TSH is actually low, your thyroid levels are actually low or even high, then you actually affect the reproduction of the gastrointestinal system. So it's just everything is linked and put together.
Every little part.
It
and
is.
then when that's all working, the benefits are great.
You feel great.
You feel wonderful.
You have energy. You don't have to have coffee to keep going. You're not living your life by force of will, which is what I see most people doing. I mean, you do it because you've got to, but you don't feel good. And you're taking coffee and you're using stimulants to stay awake and you're tired in the afternoon and you're grumpy or irritable.
Just kind of blah.
Those are all functions of dysfunction.
Now, what would you say that you do differently maybe from other practices? And I know you have the personal experience that backs you as well.
Yes. What I do differently is I spend a fair amount of time actually figuring out what the problem is. And I joke with my office and my patients, and I'm like, I want to go back to the old way because it was so much easier. When you really dive into figuring out what the issue is, it takes a lot of work.
It's a lot of time.
It takes a lot of work, and really, and it's a layered process. You know, people have so many complicated layers of issues going on that fortunately I have a very diverse tool bag that I can sort of pluck pieces out of, and I have the best teachers in the country, who are my mentors. So I'm very fortunate in that way. But what's different is that we do a lot of pathogen testing. We use only the best testing, and not all of the traditional testing is sensitive enough, So we do only the very best testing, and we keep up on it. And we can hopefully any day now run and check for immune reactions to the 14 different gluten components that can react, the cross-reactivity that can occur to corn or to tomatoes or all kinds of different foods. We can check for the gluten gene itself very inexpensively. And it's very expensive to do traditionally. I don't know why. So that's the difference.
Tackle that. And you have a great offer for our viewers today who
are
are suffering that need to call 303-721-9800. What is that offer?
We are giving a consultation. It's a free 15-minute consultation. And what that does is it gives you a chance to get to talk to me and to find out if what we do is a good fit, and to see if what you have going on is a good fit for us as well. And then we can see what we need to do at that point. So free 15-minute consultation, and it's, I don't know how much it's worth. It's worth a lot, $150 or something.
Make up a number. What do you want?
It's worth $1,000.
I think.
$1 million.
Well, that's wonderful because you're so caring and compassionate about that, and they can take a peek inside that toolbox and hopefully, all your medicines that you do and everything and help people. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Wonderful information.
Absolutely.
You too can finally find a solution to the pain and problems of irritable bowel syndrome and other gastrointestinal issues. Give Dr. Starling's office a call today to see if you would be a good candidate for a treatment as she was speaking about. And that number is 303-721-9800. Be sure to take advantage of Dr. Starling's special for the first 30 callers. You have to mention Colorado&Company. Dr. Starling is offering a free 15-minute initial consultation for that, and that instantly saves you, here's the number here, $150. So pick up the phone and call now to reserve your consultation, the free one, 303-721-9800. You can also learn more about the Healing Center by going online to thehealingcenterdenver.com. The caring professionals, of course, at the Healing Center paid for this segment. And we continue